everyone, and welcome to this video that I wanted to get out last week actually, but yeah, I didn't get time to edit, and this one's going to be slightly late coming out anyway, but hey, you're watching it now, so it's out. Happy days! So this is all about what I deem as clean racing, essentially. I got asked this by SDI_03 from, well, on GT Planet, which is an awesome forum. Go check it out if you don't check it out. Tons of Gran Turismo stuff on there, and other sims as well, Assetto Corsa. They're all on there. There's forums for everything. And that's where I did my Le Mans trip in 2015 with GT Planet, some members of GT Planet anyway. And of course I met Jordan in real life as well, the founder, who's awesome. So just getting back to what this video is about. So clean racing, you know, the rules that I go through. But first of all, I want to talk about the difference between online racing and real racing, because there is a difference, which means you can't use the rule book from any real life racing to really say what clean is in online racing. And I'll explain why now, okay? So, in terms of online racing, there are three things that you have to really think about here that differs from real life. So the first one is hitboxes, okay? So, I've got some notes here, by the way, if you're wondering where my eyes are veering off. Hitboxes. Where you think the car actually is, in terms of its length, its width, isn't necessarily right. Because what usually happens in a game, and this varies from game to game, is that they'll design the hitbox to a certain extent, and they're obviously dealing with different engines, etc., in terms of graphical, physics, and all that stuff. But imagine a car finishes at the bonnet where you expect it to finish. There could then be another gap, might be tiny, might be huge, who knows, it depends on the game, where that then is actually the car size. So it might be a lot bigger than you realise. That could cause problems in online racing, because obviously in real life you don't have that issue. The hitbox is literally your car, and if you hit another car, there is damage. And we'll get onto damage in a second. So, you know, hitbox is a big thing, and that means that rules do vary in online racing. That they affect the rules, just in a nutshell, bang on the money. Now, going on to collisions and physics, because I did sort of mention damage there. Gran Turismo, for example, has very, 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 very bouncy physics in terms of collisions, collision physics. So, you know, if you hit a car, generally speaking, they will suddenly gain a heap load of speed. It could be up to like 10, 20 miles an hour sometimes, depending on how hard you hit them, etc. But it's like they've just hit a nitrous button and just fired off into the distance. So that's quite significant. Other games, so Project Cars 1 is a really good example of this. Their collisions was basically cars were going really, really close to each other. And in fact, as far as I'm aware, in terms of how it worked, they'd basically just stick together because they got so close, and then they'd just veer off. Okay. Hopefully I can put the Donington race in the background where me and Mangator at Donington came together and the whole of the physics just dragged us off to one side. Literally. And that's how the collisions worked in that game. So, you know, with Gran Turismo versus Project Cars there, you would actually have to have two different sets of rules, really, in terms of how overtaking works. Because you're going to have to leave a much bigger gap in Project Cars, otherwise the collision is just going to fire you off, and it's not really even a collision. So that was one of the big gripes of Project Cars 1. You then have Assetto Corsa Competizione. Obviously, on this channel now, we just play Gran Turismo and Assetto Corsa Competizione mainly, with the odd special events on a different game. But in terms of Assetto Corsa Competizione, again, there's going to be a collision physics in there. They're going to have sorted out the hitboxes how they want it. They will be different to other games again. It's obviously a lot less bouncy than Gran Turismo. There is still some bounce in there. Again, you know, it presents different rules once again. And yeah, we're going to go to the final bit now, which is ping and latency. So ping and latency is probably the biggest thing, I've got to be honest. Now, you do technically have ping in real life. You know, the speed of light can only, well, light can only go so fast, can't it? So what you see technically is the past. You know, if you look up at the stars, you are seeing the past. If you look at your house, technically you're seeing the past, only like 0.0000000, however many zeros, 1 milliseconds ago, not actually present, you know. If the sun explodes tomorrow, I think it's 8 minutes, oh, forget tomorrow. If the sun explodes now, technically 8 minutes later, we will then see the explosion. You know, we're 8 minutes in the past when we're looking at the sun. You know, so that's technically ping in real life. So if you were facing somebody on the sun and, you know, that communication, that's an 8-minute delay. Now imagine an 8-minute delay on the high-speed ring, or let's pick a real track, Nürburgring. 8-minute delay, that's technically of the full circuit, a lap. So you're a lap behind in terms of communication. So technically their car is going to be, on your screen, a lap behind, but technically on their screen, they'll be a lap ahead. And in reality, if it's on a server, they'll be neck and neck. Hopefully that explains the problem a little bit. But obviously, if you're communicating around the world, so let's just say it's peer-to-peer. Obviously, Gran Turismo servers are peer-to-peer when you host a lobby. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure that's how they work anyway. They just go via PSN, which is another boundary to increasing ping, etc. But Miatamania, we have people in America. We have people in Oceania. We have people in EMEA, all racing on the same track. They all have to send, so my console has to then send my information to every single person in the lobby. Then every single person in the lobby sends all their information back to me. Now, if they're on the other side of the world, that takes a bit longer to do than if somebody's around the corner from me. Depending on how the networks works, but generally speaking, that's how it works. Which is why most games, irrespective of racing games or not, have Asia servers, Oceania servers, EMEA, the Americas servers, and sometimes that's split further, North America, South America, because of that issue. So then, what you can do as a racer or a gamer, if it's a different game, is you can connect to your local server instead, and that way you technically can reduce your ping and actually have a better experience. That's the whole idea behind it. But in racing, that can be significant because by the time you've communicated to everybody, the cars have moved again. And it's a big, big, big thing because let's just say somebody is behind you on your screen and let's just say you're like this, but the server actually places you like this. That's where you actually are. On your screen, obviously you're seeing now. You've then communicated that to the server, but now that's already gone. Technically, you're here. The server thinks you're here. On your screen, you're here. The server thinks you're here. Notice how we're overlapped here and not here. Rules of racing. This is why it gets complicated with online racing, and it's why a lot more people call dirty driving often when they shouldn't do. But I'm going to now talk about my rules for racing. Oh, by the way, with a server rather than peer-to-peer. So if you have a dedicated server, I know iRacing does this with the special events. Obviously, less of an issue because you communicate to the server, everybody else communicates to the server, and the server communicates back to you and says, hey, everybody is here. And then you go, oh, fantastic. So then your PC goes, right, I'm here now. And the server goes, oh, excellent, everybody's here. And that's doing a throw in, which can be easier, as I say. And that's why you sometimes will pick your dedicated server because the closer the server, the more up-to-date information you can get, the better experience you can have. So hopefully that explains the three big issues there in terms of online racing versus real racing and why you can't technically use those rules. And the fact that hitboxes exist and they vary from game to game. Collision physics exists. Again, they vary from game to game. And ping and latency. And they did a movie. There's a movie that actually talks about this as well called Gamer. And you can watch that as well if you really want to. Where it's all about FPS. Because FPS shooters, they have the same problem. In the fact that you could aim at somebody, but their ping, obviously, they could be more in the distance. You have to aim slightly different and not technically aim for them because they're not technically there anymore. That whole same principle. But go watch Game if you want to watch it. Explains it there as well. It's a beautiful movie. Cheesy, but hey, there you go. Right, anyway, let's get back to racing because that's what we're here for. So I'm going to talk about, in terms of my rules of racing, and then I'll put some examples at the end as well. I'll put some examples in the background at the same time where I can. And then examples at the end as well that we can talk through as well. So first of all, as far as I'm concerned, when I'm racing, if any part of a car is alongside another car, or even closely alongside, then it counts as being a clean overtake. So let me explain, and I showed it before. So let's just say I am this car here. Now on my screen, technically I could be here. But on the opponent's screen, I could be here. Well, that's a significant problem. Obviously, I'm thinking I'm here. That's present for me. But actually, to the server, I'm here. So, you can't really do the quarter panel, half panel thing. It slightly frustrates me that every single time I see somebody go, oh, you went halfway alongside a car. Technically, you don't know that. Only the server knows that. And what you see isn't necessarily always true. So, I always go with the fact that if you are any part alongside a car, then arguably you're going for that move. Obviously, you have to leave a space and make sure there's no contact, but you are going for that move. Critically, if you are the lead car, and you will see this, and some people have called me overly clean sometimes because of this, But you have to think about this when online racing. If you are the lead car and somebody is here and you're here, and on your screen it looks like they are too far back and you are here, in reality you could be here and they are actually alongside you, but you don't realize it. So even if I'm here and on my screen it goes, yeah, they're not alongside, I will always leave a slight space. And the reason for that is because what you see is not necessarily fact. And that's the scariest thing about all this. There's ping, there's delay in communication. Communication is key. So just be careful of that. If someone is close to you and they're on the inside, just leave a space. If you are on the inside or close to it, just be careful of that. Now, I did it's on the weekly race guide actually, where I was going to go alongside the Italian going into the fast left. But I'm very conscious that when I do these weekly race guides or any race, that a lot of people are not thinking like this. They just think they're here, they're now. So I was very well aware that they were probably on their screen. I was a bit further behind than they were. Which is why I back out of it sometimes. I just back out of it because I don't want the issue. I understand that I could have gone for that move, but they might not have. I'd have pitted them, they'd have gone off that way, there'd have been carnage, and then everybody has a horrible experience. At the end of the day, I game to have fun. I race to have fun and enjoy it. So sometimes I could go for a move and don't, just so that I can continue enjoying racing. Right, number 2. I'm sorry if this is taking a while, but I'd really like to explain my point here. A dive into a corner where you make the corner, I consider clean. Now, a lot of people consider dive bombing not clean. But sometimes dive bombing, not even sometimes actually, dive bombing is a part of racing. I don't care what you say. It is a part of racing. If you've got a car ahead of you, which is absolutely ridiculous down the straights, but absolutely horrible under braking, then you're going to have to dive that car. Okay, now what I consider a clean dive versus a dirty dive. So a clean dive to me is if you make the corner and there's enough space on the outside for that car, your opponent, because obviously they can't turn in if you're there. That is clean in my opinion. It's very clean if you get to the apex and you make the apex. Then mine's just making the corner. You make the apex, that is a spot on dive. And I don't really, some people look at it and go, oh, that's dirty. Well, it's not dirty, it's racing at the end of the day. If you are the lead car being dived, you have to be very well aware of the cars around you. That's why Gran Turismo's radar is brilliant. ACC has it in the center of your screen as well. You have to be aware of the cars around you. If somebody goes for that dive, just make sure you're aware of it. In the Assetto Corsa this week, there was someone who wanted to dive me on every corner, so I left them a little bit of space there just because I didn't want to cause carnage. Why should I crash out of a race because the full story isn't there? And I know it's confusing to say that, but it's true. So, yeah, just be careful with dive bombing in the fact that if somebody dives you and they make the corner and you've turned in on them, that's more on you, especially in Gran Turismo with the bouncy physics. You have to be careful of that because at the end of the day, people can go for moves. It's where they go for moves in awkward places that it can get awkward. Awkward places where it can get awkward. Hey, yeah, I'm saying awkward many times. But as I've always say, if you make the corner and you make the corner clean without touching the other car and there's enough space for them to be there if necessary, that's fine. I did the Monza overtake this week. It's probably been in the background already. I'll show it again. I'll reverse it, put it back on. I dived 2 cars into turn 1 at Monza. I made the apex, clean as a whistle. There was enough room on the outside for the Jaguar of Heisenberg. I think it was Heisenberg. Oh, Heisenberger. Sorry, mate. But there was enough room there for that driver. They decided to just tuck in behind and we carry on racing. Clean move. Clean dive. Clean dives exist. You just have to make sure you're aware. Matty and Heisenberg were very well aware that I was coming down the inside. Matty definitely saw that because he really went sharp on the brakes, realizing what was happening. And Heisenberg realized as well. And then, diving is a part of racing. Just have to deal with it a little bit. Right, the next one. This is quite an easy one because I've just basically talked about it. Always leave a space for car is there. So, if a car is on your outside, and again, you might think that you're past the car. So this is an interesting part of this. You may think you're past the car, okay? You've gone past, in a straight line, you've gone, nice car noises, right? And you're here. And it looks like there's a gap like that, okay, there. If you come across, you could be cutting them off, according to the server. So I can give you a great example of this. Burnout Paradise and Grid. Back in the day, PS3, early days PS3, actually. If you wanted to take somebody out, you wouldn't take somebody out if you were like this. You would take somebody out if you're like this. So I'm here. This is the opponent's car. I always knew that about a 10-meter gap, I could clearly take them out quite easy. So what you do you should just come across. And it looks like there's a gap on your screen. That's all communication delay. What would happen? You'd come across, boom, you'd hit them, they'd go flying off into the barrier, you'd carry on racing as if nothing ever happened. And that's how the physics worked as well. It was very interesting. That's all ping. So always leave a space. So I am overly cautious when coming back onto the racing line about leaving a space. So I will always go a little bit extra in terms of passing a car before I come back across. If I come back any sooner, there's a chance of a collision and a chance of carnage, basically. So just be careful of that. Now, get to some of the no-nos, or I consider no-nos anyway. Moving under braking is just stupid. If you do it, you're an idiot. You're a moron. You expect to be punted because, to be honest, it's not the fault of the car behind if you move under braking. So if you literally, there was some examples of this actually. I'll try and get them on the screen somewhere, hopefully. But basically, you're coming up to, I'm going to do this example again. You're coming up to a braking zone, okay? The car is here. You are here. You're about to hit the brake marker and suddenly you go, oh, he's on my inside. I'm just going to move at the very last second. If you do that, this person here has to then think about the fact that you've just moved under braking. You then have to process that information. You are already planning to try and outbrake them. And suddenly you're just going to get punted off and fly off to Narnia. That's why you don't move under braking. Literally because of that reason. This person is sat here for a reason. They are sat there for a reason. They're going to go for the move. You either defend it early, and they're very well aware of this, or you sit there and you leave the space on the inside and go for it or whatever. You do not move at the last second, because if you do, you're going to get punted, because they have to process the fact that you just moved and then do the brake. That all takes time, and the visual, you got the communication to the server, then back to your console, then I've got to process that to my feet to go, oh no, I need to brake earlier. I then have to try and do some steering to try and avoid the car because they've moved. Don't move under braking. At that point, you've picked your line, and that is the line you need to take. And you try and do the best you can to keep that position. That is the way to race. Finally, no weaving. Now, I absolutely hate weaving on straights everywhere because I think it's very pointless. If I'm honest. You don't really break the slipstream, especially in a racing game. It doesn't really happen because of the way hitboxes work and the fact that how the air works as well in the car. Generally speaking, you can actually be like that and still end up in slipstream in the majority of games because of hitboxes and such. So when you weave, so let's just say you're here and then you move over, well, by the time you've realized that, you just follow like this and you're going across that way and then you're still in the slipstream. So doing all this does nothing really. But in reality, I don't like weaving. I think it's rubbish. Now, I'm going to call somebody out, but say how they've changed so much and how they are really good at this now. So back in the Project Cars days, I used to race Spider. That's where I first met Spider. And Spider used to weave a lot in Project Cars. He got called out on it a few times by a troll vision and such. But yeah, he used to weave a lot. Now, Spider nowadays is a properly clean racer. He races like superbly. So a shout out to Spider for this. But he did stop. When he got called out on it by a troll vision, he stopped. And as I say, Spider's a properly good racer now. Really good. Clean racer. It's great, right? But he used to weave all the time, but it made no impact because you were just following this. The only time I've found where even a remote slight weave works, okay, is that you're going down the straight and you're allowed to make a move, okay? So you can make one move and then take the race in line. That's what I mean by... So do more than that is weaving. So literally, you go down the straight, going down the hanger straight, you've got a car here, chasing. And let's just say you're halfway down the straight and then suddenly you go, what? Like that. They are not expecting that, so suddenly they have to come across. That breaks slipstream. That is a good way to break slipstream. However, weaving constantly doesn't do that. But you're only allowed to make one move. So let's just say you're going down hanger straight and you go, right, I'm going to defend. So I'm going to go towards the right. Then I go towards the right and you can now take the racing line and come back across, take the racing line. If you do that, they can just carry on past. You can't then come back across. That to me is not clean racing. Or they might just come back across and follow you around the corner. You've made your move and you've taken the racing line then at that point. If you make the move and then they go left, you're allowed to come back across, but you must always leave a space. And then you can go around the corner and carry on racing. So they're my rules of racing in a nutshell. There's only 5 of them. Very easy, really, isn't it? And I'm sorry if this video... Wow, this video was very long. Apologies. But hopefully that explains my rules of racing. Maybe I need a too long, didn't read version, but hopefully that makes sense. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I'd love to hear what your versions of clean racing are. They are my versions. That's how I go about penalties and such in racing games. Sometimes there's odd stuff that happens outside of that. Netcode is a big thing. Netcode is a huge thing in many racing games, and it can cause problems. I'll always remember the Assetto Corsa one where I got a penalty and I didn't do anything. I was just sat there, I didn't do anything. The server decided to choose something else. I'll probably put that in the background for you as well.
Car on the right. Clear on the right. Car on the right.
Nope, not giving that up easy. Ah!
Clear on
We
the
got
right.
stuck together then.
But that's going to be it for this video, folks. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Give it a like. It always helps me. It costs you nothing. Happy days. Subscribe to the channel if you want to stay in touch with all the content. And then there's going to be 2 videos there on screen for you to pick whatever you like in terms of content to watch next. If you want to watch or continue watching my content. As I say, a big thank you, as always, for listening, watching, and tuning in to this video. Have a good week. Have a good weekend, wherever you are, whatever time of day or night it is. And I'll see you in another video or live stream very soon.